Let me tell you a story. A man once stood on a stage under the brightest lights of his life. The crowd roared his name, cameras flashed like lightning. His hands gripped the microphone, but in that moment, his heart was empty. He had the applause of millions, yet the approval of heaven was nowhere in sight. Why? Because without even realizing it, he had traded his purpose for popularity. And the most dangerous part? He didn't even know when the trade happened. That, my friend, is exactly how the enemy works. He rarely barges in wearing horns and carrying a pitchfork. He prefers quiet deals, gradual compromises, the gentle slope that C.S. Lewis warned about in the Screw Tape Letters, the one with no milestones, no signposts, just a slow drift into darkness. And here's the sobering truth. Sometimes that slope isn't found in dark alleys or secret cults. Sometimes it's right in the middle of your 9 to 5. Because there are professions in this world, respected, admired, powerful, where Satan's fingerprints are all over the job description. And if you think, well, that's not me, you might want to lean in closer. Before I tell you what they are, I need you to do something. Pause for just 1 second. If you want messages that pull back the curtain on spiritual warfare in real life, hit like, subscribe, and tap that bell icon right now. And in the comments, I want you to type these words, Lord, open my eyes. That's our prayer for today. Now, let's begin. Profession number 1, the scientist. Science is not the enemy. In fact, it's one of the greatest gifts God has given mankind. The complexity of the human cell, the elegance of physics, the precision of the stars, all of it screams of a creator's genius. Psalm 19 verse 1 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands." But here's where Satan slides in. He doesn't need to destroy science, he just needs to divorce it from its author. He whispers to brilliant minds, "You don't need God, you are God." That was the lie in Eden. You shall be as gods. And once the heart swallows it, research becomes rebellion. The lab turns into a Tower of Babel, built to reach the heavens without heaven's permission. Think about it. How often do we see science used to declare man as a cosmic accident with no soul, no destiny, no accountability? How often is it wielded to disprove faith rather than explore the majesty of creation? If you're in this field, guard your wonder. Let your equations lead you to worship, not arrogance. Because when knowledge pushes God out, wisdom leaves the room. Profession number 2, the financial power player. Walk into Wall Street and you can almost feel it in the air. Power, ambition, adrenaline. Jesus warned us plainly in Matthew 6:24, you cannot serve both God and money. Yet here in the high temples of finance, Mammon is worshipped every day. Satan loves this space, not because money is evil, but because the love of money is one of the fastest growing weeds in the human heart. It starts small. I'm just securing my family's future. I'm just being smart. But slowly, compassion dies, integrity fades, and people become numbers instead of souls. And here's the twist. Greed is easy to baptize. You can call it success, ambition, or vision. But if your purpose has quietly shifted from stewardship to self-indulgence, you've already stepped into the trap. If you're in finance, the antidote isn't to run, it's to resist. Give generously. Break the grip before it breaks you. Because wealth makes a terrible master, but it can be a powerful servant in the hands of the righteous. Profession number 3, the politician. Picture a grand hall, the smell of polished wood, the clinking of glasses, the sound of whispered deals. One pen stroke in this room can change the destiny of a nation. And believe me, Satan is in that room. Politics is one of his favorite playgrounds. Why? Because it's fertile ground for compromise. Leaders start with conviction, but trade it for votes. Truth is exchanged for what the people want to hear.
Entire nations are led astray under banners of progress and freedom that have been hijacked to mean rebellion against God. Scripture warns us. Proverbs 29 verse 2 says, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked rule, the people mourn." If you're called to this arena, go in with clean hands and a fearless heart, because Satan will aim for your integrity first, then your voice, and finally, your soul.
Profession number 4, the media influencer. Now we step into the age of screens, the faces and voices millions follow without question. Whether it's the polished anchor on primetime news or the viral social media star, these are the modern-day gatekeepers of truth or lies. Remember, Satan is the father of lies, and lies travel fastest when wrapped in a compelling story. In media, what's not said can be just as powerful as what is said, and when truth is silenced, evil thrives. If you have a platform, you have a choice. Will your voice glorify God or echo the enemy? Pause right here. I want you to drop this in the comments if you're still with me. My voice will speak truth. Say it as a declaration. Because here's the hard truth. These professions aren't just jobs. They're high places. And the higher you go, the fiercer the spiritual battle becomes. The lights dim. The crowd holds its breath. Somewhere backstage, a performer whispers to themselves, "Just one more show, then I'll be happy." But they've been saying that for years. You see, the stage is intoxicating, the applause is addictive, and that's why profession number 5, the entertainer, is one of Satan's most carefully cultivated gardens. Don't misunderstand. God created beauty, art, and music. David danced before the Lord with all his might. The Psalms are a divine playlist. Creativity is a gift straight from heaven. But Satan is a counterfeiter, and he knows that whatever has the power to inspire also has the power to corrupt. When entertainment becomes exaltation, when the spotlight blinds you to the light of the world, the stage turns into an altar and the audience into worshipers. C.S. Lewis once warned that the safest road to hell isn't a plunge, it's a gentle slope. For entertainers, that slope is paved with harmless jokes that slowly twist truth, catchy tunes that quietly celebrate sin, and roles that glorify darkness instead of light. And here's the real danger. You might not even realize you've become a preacher, preaching the gospel of distraction. The enemy doesn't always want you to turn people away from God directly. Sometimes he just wants you to keep them too entertained to notice him at all. If you're in this profession, your voice, your craft, your gift, it's sacred. It was given to you not for self-worship, but for truth-telling and light-bearing. Don't sell your soul for applause that fades in a night when heaven offers a crown that lasts forever. Profession number 6, the occult practitioner. Now we leave the stage lights and step into the shadows. Crystal balls, tarot cards, horoscopes, and energy readings that promise guidance, healing, and peace. This is perhaps the most openly spiritual of Satan's arenas. And yet our culture has painted it with soft pastels and marketed it as self-discovery. The modern world has sanitized witchcraft into something cute and trendy. But let's not sugarcoat what God calls detestable. Deuteronomy 18:10-12 warns against divination, sorcery, and calling upon spirits for a reason. It's not because God is against fun, it's because these things are doorways, and not every door is meant to be opened. Here's the truth. There is no such thing as neutral energy. There is the Spirit of God, and there are counterfeit spirits. And those who dabble in this realm are not talking to random guides or universal forces. They are opening themselves to voices that will never lead them toward the cross. Satan loves this profession because it's bait wrapped in beauty. People come for comfort but are handed chains. They seek healing but are given poison. If you've been pulled into this world, hear me, run, shut the door, renounce the lies. You don't need to channel spirits, you need to be filled with the Holy Spirit. Profession number 7, the lobbyist. This one hides in plain sight. Lobbyists don't just share opinions,
They influence the very laws that define what a society calls right or wrong. They meet in rooms without cameras, pushing agendas that reshape morality at the legislative level. Why does Satan love this role? Because one pen stroke can make sin legal and righteousness punishable. He doesn't need to convince the entire nation, just a few powerful people who can rewrite the rules. The most dangerous part? Many lobbyists genuinely believe they're fighting for justice, equality, and progress. But words like that can be hijacked. Satan doesn't care if you wear a suit or carry a Bible. If he can use you to move a nation's laws away from God's truth, he will.
If you're called to advocate, then be righteous. Let your cause be heaven's cause, not the world's applause. Remember Galatians 6:9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. So here we are, 7 professions: the scientist, the financier, the politician, the media personality, the entertainer, the occult practitioner, and the lobbyist. At first glance, they don't seem connected. But look deeper. They all share one thing: influence. And influence is a double-edged sword. It can shape minds for the kingdom or reshape them for the kingdom of darkness. Satan doesn't have to tempt everyone with blatant evil. He just needs to influence the influencers. Now, I need you to write something bold in the comments right now. Lord, use my influence for your kingdom. That's not just a sentence, it's a battle cry. Because the higher the place of influence, the higher the spiritual stakes. These are the high places Paul wrote about in Ephesians 6:12, where we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. And make no mistake, the fight there is fierce. The enemy is not afraid of your career. He's afraid of your calling. Think about that for a moment. A scientist who bows their intellect before the Creator terrifies hell. A banker who treats money as a tool for generosity instead of greed disrupts the enemy's plans. A politician who fears God more than polls becomes a wall against corruption. A media personality who speaks truth in love turns a microphone into a pulpit. An entertainer who reflects holiness instead of vanity becomes a psalmist in a land of idols. A soul rescued from the occult becomes a walking testimony of light conquering darkness. And a lobbyist who defends the voiceless builds laws that echo heaven's justice. That's why this isn't a message of condemnation, it's a call to arms. If you're in one of these professions, you are not there by accident. God placed you in a position of influence for a reason. But influence without conviction is just a loaded weapon in the wrong hands. And Satan will try to make you trade your conviction for comfort, your boldness for applause, your mission for a paycheck. Ephesians 6:13 tells us, "Put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground." Notice it doesn't say if the day of evil comes, it says when. And in these professions, the day of evil doesn't come once, it's constant. You cannot fight this battle unarmed. You cannot stand without prayer. You cannot last without the word. C.S. Lewis once wrote that the devil's greatest trick is not horror, but comfort. Not open rebellion, but polite compromise. It's not that you suddenly hate God, it's that you stop paying attention to him. And slowly, without realizing it, you drift. That's how so many lose their way in these high places, not because they sprinted into sin, but because they took one small step in the wrong direction and never corrected it. But here's the good news. It's not too late. Maybe you've realized today that you've been silent when you should have spoken. Maybe you've compromised in small ways to keep your position, your approval, your platform. God doesn't expose you to shame you. He exposes you to heal you. Right now, in the quiet of your heart, say this: Lord, I give you my profession, my platform, my influence. Cleanse my motives, strengthen my spirit. Make me bold in the face of compromise. Use me for your glory. Because this world doesn't just need talented people, it needs anointed ones. People of fire, people of truth, people who refuse to bow to Baal.
people who will stand, even if they stand alone. Joshua said it best, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." That's not just a family motto, it's a declaration of war against the kingdom of darkness. 7 professions Satan loves. But in the hands of God, those same professions can become 7 weapons of righteousness. The question isn't whether the battle is real. The question is whether you'll fight. If this message has stirred something in you, I want you to make another declaration in the comments. I will stand. Let the enemy see it. Let heaven record it. Let your own heart remember it. And when you walk into your workplace tomorrow, whether it's a lab, a bank, an office, a studio, a stage, a legislative hall, or even a place the world calls spiritual, remember this: you are not just there to make a living. You are there to make a stand. And when you stand for Jesus, you will never stand alone. Amen.